Hello, everybody. Today's first review is going to be of MaXXXine, which is the third movie in the X series movie trilogy, I guess. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say there. Um, so yeah, I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. I felt like it was quite a bit better than the second one. Kind of went back to I guess you could say almost the original framework of the first film a little bit, where you have now you've got Maxine in a pretty good position. It seems like she's trying to get out of the adult film industry and into an actual Hollywood career. It seems like she's kind of slowly trying to move up in the world a little bit. So that was kind of cool to see. We are finally getting a little bit more of her story. Now, will there be a fourth movie in this series? I don't really know, because I feel like they've kind of wrapped everything up that they can. But I guess at the end of the movie, she kind of does say that she doesn't want this to end. So there is potential for another film, but it kind of seems like now she's kind of gotten everything she wants now out of her acting career, and it seems like she's kind of hit the big time, and now she's a really well-known name. She's actually made herself into a star, which is kind of where, you get the contrast of the two characters, Pearl and her, where Pearl failed. It seems like she made a career for herself finally, so it was kind of like a full circle, I guess, between the three films. Yeah, but we'll go over the cast list as we always do first, and I think I did say 8 out of 10 for this film. So, I think I tied it as rating with the first one. So yeah, both the first and third were good, and I didn't really like the second one as much. But I mean, you're not gonna like every single movie you watch, right? That's just how it goes. So Simon Prast played Ernest Miller, who was Maxine's father. Mia Goth, who played Maxine Minx, which is what she goes by now. Elizabeth Delowicki played Elizabeth Bender. Giancarlo Espinato played Teddy Knight, who was her, I think lawyer slash kind of like one of her agents, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not exactly sure what his entire role was, but yeah, he did a lot of her legal stuff anyway. So Moses Sumney, who played Leon, who was her, I believe, her best friend in the movie. Kevin Bacon. So there was a lot of people who I was surprised that were in this movie. Played John Labatt. Halsey, who played Tabby Martin. Lily Collins, who played Molly Bennett, who was one of the other actresses that was in one of the films with her. Chloe Farnworth, who played Amber James. Michelle Monaghan, who played Detective Williams. Bobby Cannavale, who played Detective Torres. And then Charlie Rowan McCain, who played Maxine Miller. So Maxine Miller, was her, I guess you could say, her actual name, and then obviously Maxine Minx is her, her stage name sort of thing that she uses, obviously, for her acting career, right? So this story it starts out in 1959 with her as a kid, and you can see her in some sort of show, dancing at the church. Basically, you can hear her and her father having some sort of discussion, saying that she's going to grow up to be just like him. So clearly she was clearly she took a different career path, obviously, than, what she was going to be or wanted to be when she was a kid. It seemed like she wanted to be sort of I guess you could say a pastor, televangelist, maybe like him, when she was a kid. But obviously, when she grew up, she realized that's not what she wanted to do, and took a totally different career path in the adult film industry. So, and now she's kind of getting, probably to the age where she's realizing that really isn't the path she wants to go down, and she wants to be a more serious actor. So, I mean, kudos to her for that, and trying to, make a little bit of a better name for herself, right? So this is taking place, I guess most of the story, yeah, is taking place in 1985 in Tinseltown, California. So a few years, obviously, after, 6 years, I guess, after the incident from the first movie, right? So we have this killer known as a Night Stalker who is still at large. I thought that was probably going to be a pretty big point in this movie. So that was like a serial killer, basically, who's going after all of these like basically anybody in the adult industry. It seems like he's targeting those people, right? So like anywhere from like the strippers right down to the, you know, porn stars or whatever you want to. Yeah, yeah. Anybody in the adult industry, like anybody who's doing that sort of work, like from, yeah, again, from like strippers to like the prostitutes, like anything. Like seems like that's who his target is, right? Because once we find out that it's her father, it makes a heck of a lot more sense. So, yeah, the killer known as a Night Stalker is at large. So MaXXXine finally gets this role in a horror movie called Puritan 2. And of course, it's almost like we're getting a real life horror movie, obviously, with this serial killer out there on the loose, right? So weird stuff obviously starts happening with MaXXXine, including one of the things being her getting a tape of like film from the farm that she was filming on in 1979, right? Um, from her adult film. So now she knows that somebody has been messing with her, and she's afraid that maybe somebody will know that she's killed a bunch of people, or she was part of that group that was there, right? And of course, I guess John had been hired by her father to track her down. And of course, she gives it to him at the stoplight, like punches him with her keys in her hands. So yeah, she wasn't wanting to be followed, that's for sure. So of course, the police start, you know, asking her all these questions about the two dead women that were obviously friends with her. And of course, she says she doesn't want to talk to the cops because, you know, I guess she doesn't think that maybe she has anything to fear. But as things go on, obviously, she gets like an envelope with the address on it of the house that the other two women were killed at. So eventually, she ends up going to that location. Um, but MaXXXine's, her entertainment lawyer, that's what it was. Teddy was her entertainment lawyer. So Teddy does a lot of digging into this John Labatt character, and we find out that John Labatt is working with her father, or AKA the Night Stalker. So yeah, Teddy finds out that this John Labatt character doesn't even exist anywhere, can't find any information on him. So obviously John Labatt is like a cover name, right? And yeah, he's been hunting down MaXXXine throughout the entire movie, and you know, things get pretty tense between the two of them, obviously. And then MaXXXine's best friend Leon is killed. Uh, but MaXXXine is able to actually trap this John Labatt character and ends up crushing him at the junkyard in his own car. So kind of played himself in the end for sure. You know, got a little too greedy with I think getting a little too close, and then, you know, not trying to make a deal with her, right? Um instead of the Night Stalker or MaXXXine's father. Um so yeah, that was the twist that I wasn't expecting at all, was it for it to be her dad. Like, I was like, oh my god, her dad's been after her this entire time and is trying to take her out. And he, you know, was even willing to kill her just because of what she had done, like the career path she had taken, which is kind of crazy because um obviously he was trying to, like, I think somewhat recruit her a little bit, but also he was willing to kill her for what he considered a sin, right? And he was talking about, you know, how like all the stuff about the devil and stuff, but it almost seemed like he was running a religious cult as well. So he wasn't really any better in the end than what he was trying to fight, I wouldn't say. Um, you know, like I think, you know, religion, obviously there's going to be, you know, like, you know, the devil worship stuff, and then obviously there's the other, you know, line where it can go so far you think you're doing stuff in like the name of God too, right? Which is almost seems contradictory to, you know, most regular religious people, I would say that's contradictory, because that's also like a religious cult too, like what they would say, you know, in the eyes of Satan. Yeah, it's just like the polar opposite, in this kind of like in the same direction. You know, it's just so weird. It's a hard thing to, you know, even kind of contemplate, I guess. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. You're just worshiping somebody so much that you're doing bad things in the name of them as well. It's just so odd that, yeah. And people will follow you just because they think that you have some sort of divine power. It's very, very strange. But anyway, so yeah, obviously, um, I thought that Maxine's father had been arrested, but then we get a flashback of her actually killing her father. So I'm not really sure which one is true, whether they were trying to like mislead us at the end of the film as to him being arrested. But I think the killing was the actual thing that happened, obviously, which I'm not, I guess Maxine kind of got her revenge on her father a little bit, obviously, for, everything that he had been putting her through um, during her entire life, I guess. Um, so, yeah, then we go to 1 month later where Maxine is given another role and asked if she will, what she will do now that, everyone knows her name. And she just kind of, stares off into space and goes, I just don't want it to ever end. So now that she's a star, she just wants that, now that she's a star and she has the power, she just kind of doesn't want it to ever end. So she's just going to keep continuing to, I guess, try to get herself into bigger and bigger roles as she goes along, right? And knowing how she deals with things, she'll pretty much probably take out her competition in any way that she can, right? That's just my thought. That would be an idea for, I guess, maybe a fourth film. Could be an interesting take, and like she becomes kind of like a killer in a sense. I'm thinking that's maybe where they're going to go, but I guess we'll see. Yeah, but 8 out of 10 for this movie. It was much more enjoyable than the second one, and they kind of obviously like followed a lot of the like the main horror tropes with like the serial killer following you now. So each story was very different and unique in its own way for sure. But yeah, I would say the first and the third movie were far better than the second. So that's just my opinion, though. I mean, everybody's going to have their own opinion of each movie in the series, right? So yeah, but for sure, the first and third one were far better, in my opinion, anyway. But yeah, that's it for this review, and I will see you guys the next one. I guess one other thing I could touch on was that the soundtrack, again, was very fitting for this film. And it kind of gave you that, like, eerie feeling again that I got from the first movie. So, yeah, I really did enjoy that part of it as well. But, yeah, other than that, I will see you guys in the next review. Bye-bye for now.